About those White Sox back at the top of the podcast where they belong, whether
Can't
they're good,
quit you.
bad, or whatever. There's always a story, and the latest story is Jerry Reinsdorf made a phone call to a minority White Sox owner, Justin. What is it? Ishbia?
It's Ishbia.
Ishbia, Michigan State grad.
I believe that, by the way, I believe Ishbia loosely translates to Southside Messiah.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. I think if we had done this podcast last week like we were trying to do, except I became sick, I would be more excited than I am today. And part of the reason I'm not excited today is the deadline to process everything passed on February 28th, and it's now March 5th, and we haven't heard a thing.
I think that I've heard that same date as well. I don't think the White Sox have any responsibility to report anything about their ownership, that decision. It's all very insular. It was kind of amazing how John Greenberg from The Athletic got any information about this story last week. So I guess I wouldn't be too surprised that there's not concrete information, because it's literally just that group of, I've heard it's 33 up minimum of 33 minority owners of the White Sox to close to 100. And it's just up to them whether they want to talk to the media or not. There's nothing in the Major League Baseball bylaws that says they have to talk to tell those results of how that's going to work. So don't let that bum you out.
All right, I'm not going to let it bum me out, but it is the fact that no insider has leaked anything that the transaction went through is a little bit concerning to me, because they have to approve it at the end of the day. They don't have to sell to him. They could keep things the way they are. So
I think it's pretty clear what they gave him the offer. The key reason I think it's pretty clear this is happening is he backed out of a deal to buy the fucking Minnesota Twins.
Well, I know.
When they're at the 1 yard line, apparently they thought the Twins are completely blindsided by this. They were ready to announce before opening day that they had a new owner in Justin Ishbia, and he is now going to be at least increase his stake in the White Sox. With, it seems obvious, connecting the dots, that he will become the majority owner at some point.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that is why Reinsdorf reached out to him personally. The dude's 47 years old. He's fucking younger than me and you.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. I never even thought about that.
He
might be in a little bit different tax bracket than you and I.
Slightly different tax bracket.
Other than that,
I mean, news to White Sox fans: he's building a house in Winnetka that's bigger than Tom Ricketts. So fuck you, Cubs. His house is bigger. His house is bigger than Ricketts.
Well, the best stat about that I'll repeat for the billionth time, I've heard this all over the place, but it's an $80 million compound that he's building in Winnetka.
That's right.
$80 million would be more than any White Sox contract in history.
That's true.
That's another example of how not only is he beyond your and my tax bracket, he's way beyond Jerry Reinsdorf's tax bracket as well. I think he's worth something like $5 billion. I know his brother, Matt Ishbia, the owner of the Phoenix Suns, I think he's worth 11 billion. His father is worth who knows how much. But I'm more aware of the Ishbias than you might possibly be, just because they're from Detroit. They're both Michigan State Spartan grads. Matt Ishbia has been, he's been in the news for years with the Spartans. He was actually a walk-on backup point guard for the 2000 national championship team Spartans. So his name's been around, but you might remember when Mel Tucker, the dumb motherfucker, former football coach at Michigan State, when he signed his $100 million deal, Matt Ishbia was one of the key donors to.
Oh, that's right. He was. Yeah, that's right.
I don't know if Justin necessarily was involved in that. I wouldn't be surprised if he was. But the Ishbias are a little more well known around Michigan here. But yeah, you're definitely going to be able to get to know those guys a lot more there in Chicago.
Yeah, I feel like the White Sox lines up a lot nicer for him than the Twins, in that he's building here. Also, with the Twins, he takes control of the team. He would have been taking control of the team this year before the next collective bargaining agreement. I think for the White Sox, what it allows him to do is know that he's the heir apparent to take over the team, and he can probably deal with taking it over after the collective bargaining agreement is done and not have to deal with that mess as an owner, which is probably a little bit more attractive, to be
Yeah,
honest.
it sucks. The collective bargaining agreement has been in the news so much. We're still 2 years away from its expiration date, which everyone is pointing to that being Armageddon. As bad as this past negotiations were, and we ended up only missing a week of the season. There's dire projections saying we're going to miss the 2027 season potentially. So it just, you and I covered that ad nauseum, so we've kind of known about it for a long time. I don't like talking about it. I certainly don't like seeing it in the news so much right now, especially 2 years before it's actually going to come to fruition. But it sucks. But yeah, that's a good theory. He would want some more certainty before he takes full control of the team, as opposed to how he'd have to take over the Twins immediately. My favorite thing about this, being impartial, I don't like the White Sox or the Twins. I think it works out well for you, but I think it's a kick to the nuts of the Twins,
Oh,
whose
yeah.
whole plan up until last week apparently was they were going to have a new owner that was going to, spending, a very wealthy owner that they have not enjoyed, that was going to take care of all their problems and potentially, soon would change how their budget works. They're in the midst of a TV issue, as many of the teams across the majors are. They're losing revenue from their cable provider. I think this would have been a godsend if they had Ishbia take over for them, and that was going to boost their budget back. They've had to make cuts on their roster because of this. So I just like that it kind of fucks over the Twins as much as anything. I think it's going to be great news for you White Sox fans. Like we were saying, you've been saddled with the cheap owner Jerry Reinsdorf all these years. Well, you've got a potentially a billionaire hobbyist that just wants to be a baseball owner, and he certainly has close ties to Chicago, even though he's from Detroit. Uh, he literally chose you guys over the Twins. He wants to be the owner of the White Sox, and I think this changes the dynamic of everything, including the stadium proposal, or the potentially fanciful stadium proposal on the 78. Or I've even heard they might consider rebuilding in Bridgeport. So it opens up a ton of possibilities when you have a rich owner, and I like that it fucks over a division rival.
It also is nice that the owner will be 47 years old, possibly close to 50 when he takes over, compared to Jerry Reinsdorf would be 91 at that point, as he just turned 89. Now, a little funny note, that at least something I found fucking amusing, which I hadn't heard until the breaking of this story, was the age of the White Sox board, which is
I heard
fucking
this.
insane. Let's start with this. The youngest member is 76.
I heard that last week. I couldn't believe it.
The oldest member the oldest member, Lee Stern, is 98. He's 98.
Can you imagine what those board meetings look like? I just keep thinking of the Kansas City, the bosses of the five families meeting in Kansas City at the end of Casino, like deciding everyone's fate. Just the geriatric bosses with like oxygen tanks next to their wheelchairs, just all meeting in smoke-filled rooms.
Yeah, I mean,
oh my God.
The meals, cottage cheese and peaches, because that's all they can eat.
Oh my God.
So hopefully when some news about the completion of this comes out, we'll be hearing that Ishbia is on the board now, which would then make him half the age of the oldest member and 30 years younger than the youngest member. Are you fucking kidding me? No wonder the Sox are this shape they're in.
Oh no my
wonder.
God.
Like when I can't even. That almost, like, I was like, this is a joke, right? It's a typo. It is no wonder the decisions have been made the way they are. It's just Jerry with a bunch of guys who've been there forever, and they're just like, oh, am I getting a check? Okay, good. End of story.
It's amazing that all that's true, the age of the board. But the other part that's amazing is that that secret was revealed last week. Like no one knew any of that until last week. It's like,
I know.
what a bizarre insular situation.
Ugh.
It just sort of sheds light on everything that's been going on for the last 40 fucking years.
It's unbelievable.
Word Hole Media.